I warmly welcome all participating estate agents to the EAAB's 2017 CPD program, which is being presented by contact sessions, e-learning, and also a new innovation that we're hoping to launch in the second part of the 2017 year. I'm really gratified at the wholehearted support from professional estate agents that the EAAB continues to receive where CPD is concerned. The CPD requirement is prescribed by the EAAB both as the statutory regulator of the sector and also in fulfillment of its professional body obligations. It is to be underscored that CPD is an ongoing process that will continue throughout the career of a professional estate agent. CPD indeed is essential for ensuring the continued knowledge, competence, and retention of skills in any profession, including, of course, estate agency. It is axiomatic that the desired outcome of the major objective of any CPD program is threefold, namely, to protect the consuming public, to safeguard the professionalism of the sector, and to ensure that a successful professional career of choice for estate agents. It has always been self-evident to me that the estate agency sector is a dynamic and continually evolving one. Remaining informed of and being conversant with such factors as the latest skills, knowledge, and industry trends is therefore essential if real estate professionals are to remain relevant, meaningful, and probably just as importantly, successful. I am convinced that the EAAB CPD program, as it has developed over the past 2 years, is sufficiently focused to provide the necessary tools and content to ensure professional property practitioners are able thereby to develop and enhance their professional skill sets in relation to both long-term career plans and identified professional goals in an exciting career of choice. CPD is an essential mechanism that facilitates the demonstration by property practitioners of their ongoing commitment to keeping themselves informed of the sector best practice, whether for the benefit of the stakeholders, consumers, peers, and frequently current and potential future employers. In my experience, some of the many benefits attaching to the EAAB CPD program include the fact that CPD ensures the capability of estate agency professionals to keep pace with current standards and developments within the estate agency sector. CPD ensures that practitioners maintain and enhance the competence, knowledge, and skills needed to deliver a professional service to clients, stakeholders, and the community at large. CPD ensures that the knowledge of professionals is always relevant and current, and that practitioners are made aware of new developments and changing trends and directions in the estate agency sector, bearing in mind the increasingly frenetic pace of change that is currently being experienced. CPD not only assists professionals in the sector to make a meaningful contribution to estate agency in general, but also to become more effective in the workplace so that they may advance their careers, move into new positions, and ultimately lead, manage, influence, coach, and mentor others entering into the sector. CPD helps property practitioners to remain interested and interesting by creating and focusing on potential new possibilities, knowledge, and skills areas. CPD can inculcate a deeper understanding of the professionalism of estate agency sector and encourage a greater appreciation of the implications, aspects, and impacts of the services rendered by property practitioners. Interactive CPD advances the body of knowledge and competencies within the estate agency profession. CPD invariably results in increased public trust, confidence in, and respect for individual professionals in general, as well as the estate agency profession in particular. CPD inevitably contributes to improved consumer protection as well as a sustainable increase in the economy as a whole. It must be accepted that CPD represents a career-long obligation for all practicing estate agency professionals. I believe that on a cost-benefit analysis, there can be little doubt that the benefits accruing both to estate agents and the consumers they serve resulting from the professionalization of this sector far outweigh the costs that are necessarily incurred. The EAAB, with this in mind, will continue to strive to ensure that CPD compliance is not regarded as an onerous obligation imposed upon estate agents, but rather as a meaningful and valuable learning experience that provides food for thought and further inquiry and research, while simultaneously enhancing the professionalism, competencies, and productivity of property practitioners. I am confident that our CPD program for 2017 will meet these goals and obligations. In conclusion, I extend my very best wishes for the prosperity and success to our professional practitioners in 2017. I hope and trust that they will find CPD to be interesting, relevant, and helpful as they continue to play their vital part in advancing the professionalism of their careers in the estate agency sector.
Good morning. My name is Miriam Ndlela, and I'm here representing ADCO, and we'll be looking at a topic called optimizing workforce productivity. You can contact us at the following details that are here on the screen in front of you. As mentioned, we're looking at optimizing workforce productivity. This is actually a very broad and complex subject to look at in 30 minutes, but I'll try my best, and at the end of it, I'd like to impart you with certain information that you'll be able to implement or apply in your work environment. So what is optimizing workforce productivity? Simply put, it is maximizing your staff's potential in the workplace. To optimize workforce productivity, we need to create a fertile environment in which individuals and teams can thrive and grow. There's three simple yet critical criteria that need to be in place to do this. The first one is engaging, the other one is empowering, and the last one is excelling. At the end of all of this, there should be clarity, goal-directed teams who collectively create and develop an environment of continual learning. Let us look at these three in more detail. What do we mean by engaging? We're talking about taking the time to get to know your team members and your partners. We're talking about having regular one-to-one meetings and reviews. We're talking about inviting the opinions, ideas, and suggestions. And I think very important is to note that listening to each other is very critical. It is also realizing the drivers, what the business and the personal drivers are within that environment. Secondly, what do we mean by empowering? It is recognizing self-determination and belief in our staff. It is providing them with skills, resources, and authority to maximize opportunities. Empowering is to allow them to make decisions, to solve problems, and improve on service levels. To hold them responsible and accountable for those decisions made, and to share rewards and power so they can take initiative. I think also it is important to say that it is important for the staff to know that they are cared for by their management. What do we mean by excelling? Simply put, is doing extremely well. It is differentiating yourself from the competitor. It is being creative and thinking outside the box, and actually standing out as exceptional within the market. We've now looked at the what of optimizing workforce productivity. Now we need to look at the how. How do we optimize our workforce? This is not a once-off activity that you do in the company. It is an ongoing process of managing, developing, and encouraging the individuals and teams within our business. It links individual performance to business objectives, and it has to be realized that this is a management function within the business. It's not something that the staff members do, it is something that comes from the top, that is driven from the top. So by the ongoing process, we're talking about planning, we're talking about doing, and lastly, we're talking about reviewing. It is important to note that there are factors that influence workforce productivity. And we like to use the acronym ACHIEVE, which actually represents ability or the knowledge and skills that people need to have. Clarity, they need to understand what it is that they're supposed to be doing. They need to understand the goals and expectations. Help is organizational support, both from management as well as peers. It's incentive. How do we motivate and ensure that there's willingness to do the work and to perform to our highest potential? There's evaluation, and this is obviously, we go back to what we spoke of engaging. Through coaching and performance feedback, you need to evaluate people's performance in order to identify any gaps, improve on what is already being done, and give feedback and train ongoing coaching in terms of what they need, how they need to perform. Validity. By validity, we mean, is the company process and procedures in place for people to know that what they're doing is in line with what is required? Is there fairness? Is there legal personnel practices within the company? And are we following the current legislation that has been updated? All those need to be looked at as validity. And lastly, we need to look at the environment fit. The people within the company, do they fit the environment that you're creating? For instance, with estate agencies, if you're working in the northern suburbs, what kind of staff members are you going to look for? Do you need introverts or extroverts to do what? With the sales, do you need an introvert and extrovert? And I would believe that an extrovert would be more ideal for that kind of role. We then have to look at 3 vital elements that need to be in place in order to optimize productivity. We call them the ABCs of the optimization of productivity. A stands for activators. This is obviously goal setting. B, we're talking about the kind of behavior that we're expecting. And C, we're looking at the consequences to those behaviors. Let's look at activators. These are goal-directed behavior. We're looking at goal setting causes goal-directed behavior, as it highlights the need for an individual to achieve a certain goal in accordance with their objectives, which activates the performance, enhances the performance. It's important that the individuals know and they're crystal clear as to what their key areas of responsibilities are and what their performance standards clearly define. They must know what good performance looks like and what it is. That is very important. For goal setting to be effective, it is essential that the goals of the department are aligned to the goals of the individual. This is key, that you need to know your people within your organization. Activators should motivate and not threaten your staff members. I think it's important to say that goals have to be SMART. The acronym SMART stands for specific goals, measurable goals, attainable goals, realistic goals, and timely. So if you remember SMART, just write that on your board, SMART, and remember what it actually means. The behavior of the ABCs is actually goal-directed behavior in your industry, which is, in this case, selling, buying, or renting homes. Behavior can be measured and observed. If behavior cannot be measured, it cannot be managed. So it's critical that what is expected of your people must be communicated and they must be understood. You cannot manage something that is not known. The C of the ABC is the consequences. Performance may be positive or negative, and the consequences should fit the circumstances. Praise and reward should be the consequences of positive performance. Reprimand and review, the consequences of negative performance. Only positive consequences encourage positive future performance. Often people think that activators have a greater influence on performance than consequences. However, research has shown that activators are less powerful than consequences. I'd like to share with you statistics. They say activators actually cause 15 to 25% of performance. Example, your goal setting. However, consequences actually cause 75 to 85% of performance. Your rewards, your recognition, and reprimands actually will cause greater performance in people than just setting the goals. It is also important to note that for people to optimize their productivity, they need to know their limitations and boundaries. Although activators account for a smaller proportion of the cause of performance and the consequences, it is still vital that activators put people on the right track from the start. So we look at activators as to get the stuff going, and the consequences keep the people going. So as we come to the end of the presentation, let me share a thought that I picked up from an article I recently read. A one-size-fits-all management approach can actually damage yourself, your people, and the company. To ensure that productivity is maximized, you need to understand your staff, their individual and professional goals, and align these to the business goals. The key is actually to invest in your people. So let's summarize what we have actually looked at. Optimizing workforce productivity is an integral part of the organizational business planning process. It is an ongoing process to create the environment in which individuals and teams can survive, strive, and thrive. It links individual performance to business objectives, and this ongoing process involves planning, doing, and reviewing. The factors that influencing workforce productivity are captured in this one acronym ACHIEVE, where A is ability, the knowledge and the skills. C is clarity, making sure that people understand what is required of them. Providing support or helping them. I is the incentive to motivate and get them doing the things out of their willingness. Evaluation is coaching and performance feedback. Validity, other processes, procedures valid in the workplace, are they fair? And the environment, is it fitting for the people? Do they fit the environment of the organization? And to enable all of this, you need the ABCs of productivity, which are the activators, the behaviors, and the consequences. This concludes the presentation, and I hope it has been helpful and will benefit you, your staff, and your company. Thank you for your time. Please remember to complete your 10 multiple choice questions in order to obtain your CPD points. Thank you.